Claudia sent in this video message asking for my help after being contacted by a young man whose father had accidentally ran over her little sister 37 years ago. Tragic story. Take a look at this.
Dear Bishop Jakes, on June 7th, 1979, when I was just 7, I was watching my 2-year-old sister when she was hit by a speeding car. She was killed instantly. The driver was allegedly drunk, speeding, and left the scene of the accident, but he was never charged. Her death devastated my family. My mother went into a depression and she turned to alcohol, which led to mental illness. She died prematurely at the age of 52, and I believe from a broken heart. A couple of months ago, we received shocking news. We heard from the adult son of the driver who killed my sister. He told us his father had died recently and he had just learned of the accident that took the life of my sister 37 years ago. He went on to say that he visited her grave and that she didn't have a headstone. He's offered to purchase her one. I have mixed emotions. On one hand, I'm grateful for his generosity, and on the other hand, I question his motives. Bishop Jakes, please help me make peace with the past and the horrific day my sister was killed before my very eyes.
Please welcome Claudia. I want to talk about the young man in a moment, but before I talk about the young man, I want to talk about you.
Sure.
When you walk out here and you sit in that chair, I see a lot of pain sitting in that chair.
It was hard to watch that. See, I thought it was all together.
That's okay. Let your heart talk. Because sometimes when we monitor the conversation, we say things that are good for people, but it's not good for us.
Sure, right.
Yeah. Take me back 37 years ago to that day.
Okay, so I was playing outside with my 2 sisters and some friends. We were picking mulberries. There was a forest across the street from where we lived. My mom was asleep with a 6-month-old baby at the time, and Kalila, which was my sister that passed away, she was asleep with them, but she was starting to wake up, and we knew, let mom sleep.
Right.
So we ushered her, come outside with us. You can come play with us. So we got her out of the house. My mom didn't even know she was outside, and my older sister Teresa and her friend said, we're gonna go across the street, we're gonna pick mulberries. So myself, I say I was 7, I was actually a few months before I turned 7, and a friend, and then my little sister Kalila, we sit on top of my mom's car. She had a little gremlin. It was, it was just not a street you're supposed to go across. So since we were the younger ones, they set us on the hood of the car, they went across, they picked the berries, they came back. And because, my older sister, I was 6, 7, she was 10, and they picked the fruit, so they ate most of it, and that wasn't fair. So we petitioned for them to go back and pick more, and they were like, no. So we're like, fine, we'll go pick more berries ourselves. So I told Kalila, you sit on the hood of the car, and now I'm the bigger person, I'm gonna go and pick us more berries, and then we'll have them all to ourselves. And we had our bowl, and we're on our way back across the street, and Kalila slid down the top of that car, and she was trying to come to me, and she was doing the potty dance. So I knew she had to use the bathroom. And so I remember extending my hand to her saying, wait, like I'm gonna come, but I need to wait for this car to pass. And Steve and I were admiring this car. It looked like the Knight Rider kit car. It was so nice. And as I kept my eyes on this car, admiring it, I watched it hit and catapult my sister into the air. I remember seeing it hit her once, and so it hit her, it threw her up, and then she came down, it hit her a second time. I remember her body like flipping forward, and then it hit her the second time, and she rolled like a log for a long time down the street. long time. She rolled vigorously until she got to the gravel on the side of the road, like stopped her. And I thought, I'm in a lot of trouble. Something really bad is happening, and I'm gonna get punished severely for this because this has to be my fault.
Is that the message that you have kept all these years?
No, I haven't. The pain comes because all of the blame went on my mom. All of it. People felt that she was unfit, and how could you be asleep on the sofa while your child is being mauled down by this vehicle? Where were you? We were born-again Christians in an apostolic faith church that we went to every time the door swung open, it felt like.
Yeah.
So she went to get guidance from church, and there were confidants that she held in high regard that she went to for counseling that took it upon themselves to say, well, you know, this is God's way of punishing you for fornicating. This child was born out of wedlock, and this is what
It's true.
has come.
We're talking to Claudia about a reunion of two families that's about to happen today. It's been 37 years since a terrible accident robbed her of her 2-year-old sister who was killed by a hit-and-run driver. We want to get into this. Your mother went through a lot of pain, which inevitably affected you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Couldn't get over the grief?
Nope.
Alcoholism?
Yes. Depression, manifested mental illness. She was bipolar.
The car didn't just hit your sister, it hit the whole family.
It devastated our family. We were poor, but we were happy before that, you know? I mean, I remember my mom being present and active in our lives, and I remember our feeling like I have a good mom, you know?
In some ways, you lost your sister and your mother.
I watched my sister die instantly, and I watched my mom die slowly.
How has that affected you as a grown woman? Because that seems really real to you in this moment right now.
I have a strong work ethic, so I put my pain into things that I'm passionate about.
You have to find a way to live with things that happen to you that you can't fix.
Yeah.
You know, for some people it's work. For your mother, it became alcoholism. For other people, it's anger. But we all find a way to survive because God designed us to adapt to our environment, not just externally, but internally. We are very, very strong at adapting, and we cope and we survive. You've been coping for 37 years, and that's powerful and it's strong. I would like to see you living rather than coping.
Right.
Yeah, I'd like to see you really living. I'd really like to see you living. Fast forward, you got the system in place and you know how to deal with it, and you got it all swallowed down, and you got a narrative that you tell yourself, and you know when to write, and you know when to smile, and you know how to do everything. And the phone rings, and your sister says, there's this white boy on the phone, because that's the way we talk when nobody's around, who wants to talk to you. What? Yeah, his father is the guy that ran over your sister. What's your first feeling?
Oh, well, we went into an emotional tailspin because, you know, now here's a physical representation of the pain.
What do you think your mother would say about this?
It's not a topic we discussed, and that's why it's so raw, because it was suppressed.
See, when you develop a coping system, it's not about healing. We don't even worry about healing. Just keep it in the closet. That's not the best way to live your life.
Sure.
Sometimes you have to confront the thing you're most afraid of to free yourself for the rest of your life. When he comes out here, what do you think his side of the story is?
I think the crime that was committed is that he left the scene of the accident. There was no, oh my God, get out of the car, are you okay? What have I done? Let me call for help. That is the element that's missing.
You don't have closure because you don't know
He didn't
why.
mean to hit her, but I wish the authorities told my mother always, yes, we understand who's at fault for this. They weren't charged. He said he left the scene of the accident because he thought he hit a dog. That's what we were always told.
We're here talking to Claudia about a reunion of two families that's about to happen right here today. It's been 37 years since a terrible accident robbed her of her 2-year-old sister, who was killed by a hit-and-run driver. Now, the driver's passed away 6 months ago. His son, Stephen, has requested to meet Claudia. Take a look at his story. I want you to see his story.
When I was 15 years old, I learned about a car accident my father had that took the life of a 2.5-year-old girl. I was completely surprised. He never talked about it. I definitely felt sorry for him, knowing that he had been carrying that grief around with him for so long. My father passed away May 24th due to pancreatic cancer. After he passed away, I was very curious as to the details of the story, so I set out to find a first-hand source rather than just hearsay through the family. This led me to search through newspaper archives and online to find out her burial place. When I found I had no headstone, I was very hurt and felt as if she might have been forgotten. I wanted to find her family, reach out on behalf of the family, offer up a headstone for her burial place. Today, I am going to meet Claudia for the first time. I feel very excited to know that on behalf of my father and my family, that we're doing something good. I think my father would be really honored.
Claudia,
Okay.
are you ready to meet Stephen?
Yeah.
Take a deep breath. Stephen, come on out.
Great to finally meet you.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for having the courage.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Please have a seat. How you feeling right now?
It's very surreal. I never thought this would happen, that I get to meet some of the family members.
Why was it important to you to do this?
I always felt that maybe the other side of the story, that my father was portrayed as a monster, and what he did with his life after this was a very beautiful thing. He was our family goofball. So to have like a family picture, it was hard to get him to be serious for something like that.
Are you doing this because you want to bring resolution to his name or to his past, or are you doing it because you want the family to sense some contrition from your family? Did you hear what she said about it being a hit and run?
We've talked about
You've
this
talked
before,
about, so
yeah.
you know, yeah. What is this for you? What is this for you?
It's both as far as how he is perceived as a person and the resolution for this family after this accident.
What kind of person was he?
He was the most sociable person I've ever met. For someone who didn't have a college diploma, he could social network like anyone I've never seen.
Why do you think he didn't stop?
That I'm not sure of. One of the things we'd also talked about is there was a passenger in the vehicle. And when I talked to him, he said they stopped. Where, I do not know. I do know that he did not live very far from this incident.
Were you worried about how Claudia would perceive your intentions?
Very much so. At first, I assumed that at first it was going to be just absolute hatred at first. But the more I thought about it, I only wanted positive to come out of this.
You have to be a pretty courageous person to know that you would walk into a room with a family that may have preconceived ideas about you and to walk into there anyway. I congratulate you for that.
Yes.
I think that's impressive.
I think it's admirable. I appreciate you. I don't think I could have had the courage to do that if I was sitting in your shoes.
Thank you.
Yeah, it takes a lot to be able to do that. Claudia, you had a question that you wanted to ask him face to face.
Yeah, so this devastated our family. Do you think that as a result of your father being responsible for taking a life, he lived his life more responsibly? Like, do you think he was a better man as a result of it?
We've been talking to Claudia and Stephen about an accident that has bonded the two forever, whether they wanted to be or not. 37 years ago, Claudia's 2-year-old sister was hit and killed by a car that was driven by Stephen's father. Claudia just asked you a question. She's trying to find the good that came out of something that ripped their entire family apart.
This incident had a complete overhaul on his look on mortality and made him a very safe, conscious person, along with all of his children.
How do you feel about that?
I feel a resolve in knowing that his life wasn't as devastating as what ours was as a result, because I think, you know, had you said, yeah, you know, he was drunken and abusive and, you know, he was, you know, just as bad off as your mom, then I would feel like it was just altogether horrific.
Can we take a moment and just take in what we just saw here? This is what needs to happen in our whole country. We don't talk to people, and we suffer alone, and we deal with the issues alone. This is amazing. First of all, I want to repeat, I respect so much the fact that you're this guy who walks into an unfamiliar situation. You took on the cross of representing your father arbitrarily. You didn't have to do it. And then to come to represent him, there has to be some goodness in your heart. Maybe you both came to give each other something that is difficult for each to receive for a different reason. And I hope you will be as open to her gift as she is open to yours. I hope that's something for you to think about, but I hope. What do you want to see? Are we talking about closure here? Do you feel like that this will somehow, for you and your family, bring out in the open, air this out, ventilate it, and bring some level? I'm not sure closure is even a word that is right, but it's the closest thing I got, so I'm gonna go with it. Do you feel any sense of closure?
I feel there's healing and restoration. You know, it was very uncomfortable for me to initially talk to you. I was a nervous wreck, and you know, as I continued to correspond with you, you were always so gracious and so transparent, and that's what made me be more comfortable talking to you, because you would just share freely whatever you knew to be your truth. And I'm grateful that you weren't afraid of me. I'm grateful that you weren't afraid of us. And I am just delighted that you want to make sure that Kalila isn't forgotten.
I'm gonna come around here. Because I'm gonna get in the middle of all this love. There's some love going on here. I'm gonna get me some of this love too. Do you feel like you're getting what you came for today?
Very much so, and then some.
Good. What about you?
Well, I'm among the bishops. Yeah, that's never a bad thing. But yes, honestly, you know, one of my deepest fears, aside from just talking about this very uncomfortable topic, was that people would speak badly against your father. And I know he died recently, and that grief is still raw. And I still grieve my mom, and she's been gone for 8 years. And so I wouldn't want that for you. So that was why I was really concerned. Like, I don't want people to talk badly about his dad. He's grieving. His whole family is going to be upset that he has, you know, extended this olive branch to our family, because now they're going to, you know, destroy his legacy, which you say is good. So I feel like we haven't done that. And that's what makes me feel peace in my heart.
That's a beautiful story. At the end of the day, we all go through the same things in different ways. And the funny thing about pain doesn't care whether you're a man or a woman, or whether you're white or black or rich or poor or good looking or not. It attacks everybody the same. If we could learn from these two people how to reach out of our pain and see each other's perspective and love anyway, I tell you what, it'd make you want to get up out the bed whistling. Am I right? Now, I know you didn't come walking in here with no big old headstone.
No.
You didn't carry that picture, it's just not in your pocket or nothing like that. But can you tell us, can we see it? Is there a picture of it? How are we gonna do this?
They emailed me a proof of what it will look like
Okay,
once it is engraved.
and it's on the screen right now.
Yes.
All right. If you receive this headstone, I know.
Thank you.
On behalf of your sister and your mother and your entire family, can you get up and give him a hug as a sign of you're cool with this?
Thank you.
That's all we can do with this one. Good luck to Claudia, good luck to Stephen.